Hello everybody, welcome to what is going to be the first Fireside sort of thing that I've ever done. I'm stealing this, I know he didn't invent it, but I'm kind of stealing this directly from one of my favorite content creators, Bricky, who's also doing a lot in the 40k space. And as you can see, we're going to be doing this over the top of the new Battle Sector update where they released the Orcs. The biggest and the strongest. And that's kind of awesome because, you know, Orcs have always been a faction that I've been morbidly interested in, but never really played on the tabletop. And I mean, let's be honest, most of the people that I know that play Orcs are shitheads by nature, so it's kind of good to put a more positive spin on them. And I guess that's kind of the nature of what I was wanting to do with this. Like, this is just something where I'm just going to be talking while I play a game and chill out and spend a bit of my downtime. So there's no, I guess there's no real point to the video, but it's just stuff that I want to chat about and whatever pops into my head when I'm playing this. But I did have something that I sort of thought out, which was with some of the reveals that have come out in faction focuses, and it was really put into focus. When the Thousand Suns one came out, and the first thing I saw was somebody in I think it was the Tau competitive Facebook page saying the Thousand Sun reveals has me even more upset about the Tau ones. And I wanted to kind of talk about just how I stay positive in a world where it's so easy to doom and gloom and there are so many people doing it. But yeah, so same as any other Fireside that you may have participated in, go and get something to eat or something to drink, or just, you know, whatever your comfort of choice is, even if that's a southern comfort, who cares? And yeah, let's sit down and let's kind of have a chat. So, well, first and foremost, I'm going to do a proper announcement video on it and everything, but we finally have memberships on the channel. Now, this is very exciting for me because it's another way to get support and build the studio and start doing different things. Patreon on its own has led to me ramping up to running a grand tournament in October, which is very exciting. We're going to be having a ton of coverage. We're going to be having it'll be a Twitch streamer who's live streaming it, but it'll be live streamed for everybody to enjoy. I'll be doing YouTube content and a lead up to it. Very exciting stuff, and it's anything that I do is just not possible without people that are, you know, kicking in and contributing in some way, just to, you know, show their thanks or be a part of it or get their name on videos or whatever else. So if you look down, there's a little join button now where you can get memberships. This one also gives you access to the Pantheon Studios Australia Discord, which is also very exciting because for some people, Patreon really isn't their thing. They don't want to go and create another account with something else or whatever, but this is just directly in YouTube. You can also do super chats and all that sort of stuff. I'm not super familiar with it at the moment. I'm learning as I go because this is all a very new venture for me. But I was thinking about doing, you know, people that super chat something, just have them, you know, be able to have a question answered at the end of the next video that I put out and make it a little bit of like sort of the post-credit content or something like that. But let me know what you think about stuff that you would like to see included if you were to go down that route of super chatting or whatever else. But Discord access is a big one, and I've tried to unify it as much as I can between Patreon and oh my god, I can't believe my brain just turned off. Between Patreon and the memberships on YouTube. It's hard because Patreon does everything in US dollars, whereas I've set Australian dollars for my YouTube, so I've tried to make it as even as I can so that everybody's contribution is respected equally. But there may be some things, like YouTube has their own prices. I don't actually get to determine a specific amount outside of the brackets they give me. But anyway, enough plugging. You guys know where to you know, go to do all that sort of stuff. Let's get into the video, and yeah, I haven't really been doing anything while talking about that, so let's move our Big Mac up. Orcs are here, and Battle Sector is a game that I have a great fondness for because it's kind of a standout in a world where everything is massively disappointing. And you know, most Warhammer games are like you know, either swinging massive successes from, you know, the likes of Total War, Warhammer, which is obviously old world, which is fantastic, or it's like mobile games, which do everything they can to rob you of your money. Or, you know, Dark Tide, which is a great game, but had a lot of problems at launch. So what's this guy got? He's just got a dagger gun. Okay, cool. Let's go him. So he doesn't really have any melee at all. It seems weird for a... I think $2 a Big Mac custom force field. Okay, so as long as he's within 2 tiles, he gets a special thing. Cool. Let's hit that. So talking today about staying positive, which isn't something that a lot of people are interested in, let's be honest. But I have... Oh, that's cool. That's really, really cool. I've been... With all of the reveals and everything, I have been trying to keep myself as positive as possible. And I feel like this is necessary for my own mental. I can be rather cynical as a person, which, you know, isn't something that really lends itself to being good for you over time. It means that I don't fall for phishing schemes and the like, but yeah, obviously not the best overall for all aspects of life, let's say. So, staying positive, really, what does that mean for me? That, I'm not going to use my rocket packs there. For me, really, that is, you know, looking at, in terms of, let's say, the 10th edition changes. For me, really, it's making sure that I don't look at something and rebel against change just because it's change. I want to know that if I'm unhappy with something or something doesn't really hit right for me, it's because there's legitimacy to that, and it's not just me being upset because the thing I knew is changing and I'm not, you know, and I don't want it to change because I was happy with how it was. And I mean, really, at the end of the day, a lot of the time, change is actually good for us. Of course, that's not always the case, and there are franchises and whatever that have fucked that up. So I won't say that as a blanket rule, but for the most part, I would prefer to be positive about things, and then, you know, withhold judgment. And don't get me wrong, if stuff ends up being shit, I will absolutely be the first person to voice that, but I just don't see the need to without any details. And really, we don't have details right now, which, you know, it is very important for us to make sure that we only respond with information, because otherwise we're just screaming into the void for no real reason. And so let's have a look at the Thousand Suns thing. Obviously, I won't have anything sort of coming up on screen because this style of content I'm going to have is very low editing, very low speed, easy for me to put out in bulk. Anyway, so when I look at it, oh, my boy got wrecked. So when I look at the Thousand Sun changes, and that is some good stuff. Plenty of rerolls, being able to choose on a turn, giving them lethal hits or sustained hits, or the devastating wounds, which is mortal wounds on 6s. They've got some good weapon profiles. The Cabal points look interesting with the rituals. There's a lot that's going well for them. So, when I look at that and I look at our reveals, it's important, I think, to have your main reflex be that you don't react to things until you've got all of the information you get to put it in practice. Because even stuff on paper can seem really, really bad, but then when you get a closer look at it, you go, oh, okay, hey, you know what? This ain't so terrible. This is fine. Or, you know, hey, this is busted as shit, because there are plenty of armies that people just didn't realize how ridiculously bad it was going to be in terms of, you know, strength until it was on the table. And I really feel like that happened with NIDS, where, you know, maybe the NIDS players knew that this was going to happen, but there wasn't a ton of community uproar when the book was unveiled. Mostly, I think, because most people didn't know what was about to come to them, because it was a little more complex. It wasn't so on the nose as something like Votan. But yeah. So I think what we're looking at is them getting a bunch of really, really cool rules, and at the end of the day, us not getting that and wishing that we did. But again, it's a little bit preemptive because we don't know what we've got. We really don't. We really don't know what's coming in our book. And it's a very, very important thing for us to highlight because... Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I don't like to be that guy that's all the time just being like, oh, wait and see, wait and see, wait and see. But we kind of do need to wait and see, really. And when I talk about the positivity thing, that also helps protect my own mental, because if I'm not getting upset beforehand and I'm withholding my judgment, it helps me, as much as it's not exciting and it's honestly not good for the content mill, because everybody wants you to react to something. Everybody wants you to have opinions on stuff. But it's much, much better for you, and it's much easier to exist when you aren't reactionary in nature. You're less often disappointed, you're more readily able to see the good and the bad in things, and that to me, honestly, is a premium, being able to do that. So, hey, told you guys to go there. Go on. I've currently got my pup hanging around my feet. I wish you guys could see this pup right now. I wish I had my camera, I'd lift him up to it, but such a freaking beauty. Anyway. So, leading on from that, not just the reveals, but when I look at, you know, on the tabletop, I very often am a very, very positive person when I'm looking at, you know, my gameplay and interacting with my opponent. And it's even led to, believe it or not, I have been reported at tournaments because the dude, I beat this guy into the dirt. Absolutely demolished him. And he reported me to the TO because he was like, oh, you know, he'd already beaten me and he kept explaining his rules and everything. He was being really fake nice. And this got back to one of the leadership on the team that I'm on. And he's just kind of gone, okay, and why should I give a shit about this? That's not a reason to report somebody. That's... And I have to laugh about it, but I've legitimately been reported because I was being fake nice. Because at the end of the day, you know, like, I will interact with my opponent. I will celebrate their successes. I'll celebrate their failures. And not in like a shitty way, but I'll do it in a way that, you know, I want to have a laugh at the table. Because for me, this is a social experience. I want it to be a social experience. And that doesn't really... Oh, God, the voice lines in this are so good. Look at him just beating on this soul grinder. Oh, they got clapped. Yeah, it just he falls off his bike and picks it up. That's so good. I'll bear in mind, everybody, from where I am at the moment, this is literally the first battle. We are as vanilla and basic as a person can get. So, yeah, he's... No, I've got no marker, so I can move past him. They are going to... below minimum range. Okay, so we're just going to get rid of that. And we're going to get the Big Mac in here. Yeah, so I'm always a very, very positive person because I want to laugh and have fun, and I don't want the game to be drudgery. That to me just feels like it defeats the purpose so much. Aye, custom force field, let's go.
Gotta fix this.
He's slapping on me like 3 times. What the fuck? Oh, no, I put too many units around him. Oh, he exploded in my face. Okay, sorry, I got a little bit distracted. Sorry for the high pitch cackle.
Here we go, here we go, here we go.
That is the best voice line. I'm sorry, I had to stop talking so I could hear that. That is just peak orcs. Let's go, Grots. Yeah, so I would encourage you guys to do the same, because even though I have had some shitty interactions based on my chippiness and my happiness, which, you know, isn't going to be everybody's cup of tea, I've generally found more positivity as a result of doing that than I have negativity. And I will honestly call that a win. So, yeah. But you know, it's not for everybody, and you don't have to. I just find that I've made more friends being positive and upbeat than I have being shitty and dour and complaining about my Necron opponents because they're playing Necrons. Because obviously, you know, fuck everybody who plays Necrons. So, yeah, I'm curious to find out what you guys actually do within your games to maintain that. Even if it's not positivity, if it's just maintaining your mental, maintaining that upbeat attitude that, you know, everybody realistically should have within this game, but, you know, sometimes doesn't. And I think that positivity is something which is, you know, it's something that a lot of people talk a big game on until the rubber hits the road, for lack of a better term. FAP, okay. Oh, finish them off, Grots. Oh, wait, no, they're gone. Oh, get wrecked. Okay. So, yeah, obviously, as you guys can hear, I'm still a little bit sick, which kind of sucks. Which means that this one won't actually be that long of a Fireside. Future ones will be a little bit longer because... well, you know, I'll have a voice to use, but, yeah. I just find that through all these reveals, there is a part of me that really wants to be overly disappointed that we didn't really get much in the reveals, but then I see in all of my various chats and whatnot that there's a lot of other people disappointed, like Custodes, surprisingly. Not disappointed, but just sort of saying we didn't actually see anything, so I'm not going to react to anything. Which I 100% get. You know, you need to actually know details to be able to formulate a game plan. I guess that's the difference between your tournament players and your... Let's go, boys! Sorry. Your tournament players and maybe your casual guys or the people that are just, you know, interested in armies just purely for those rules or whatever. That, you know, when we're looking at it, we're formulating a game plan. We're working out how to win games using it and whether the new rules are good or bad for that. Whereas other people might be looking at whether rules are lore accurate. I've seen that thrown around a little bit, which, you know, no tournament player really cares about unless they're also a lore nerd. But yeah, And I really do like that a lot of people that I respect the opinion of have kind of had the same response that I have. Not that I want people to just agree with me or whatever. But, you know, just that other people are taking the same sort of approach where they don't want to react to things unnecessarily. They don't want to... They don't want to unnecessarily... make themselves upset or whatever. Now here we come to a choice. I think the Pain Boy has got to be a unit that I take. I'm also thinking about Meganobs or maybe the Death Copter. I think it's going to be the Pain Boy and the... So what do I get with Meganobs? I get Looters, which Looters aren't bad. This one I get the Death Dread. I think it's got to be the Death Copter and then the Death Dread. I want to get the War Boss and the Death Dread next turn. So let's do that. Shit, I can't even remember what I was saying before I started that thought pattern. Just you know, seeing people taking the same approach where they don't want to unnecessarily get upset or rile themselves up because at the end of the day, we really don't know anything. And I think that's a very healthy way for us to look at it. And and I want to say this to every... Oh, why did I think... Wait, is that their Psyker or is that their... Oh, no, it's a weird boy that's their Psyker. Our Pain Boy's still fine. Don't need to save army. I am over anyway. What would I even get rid of for this? 65 points, so maybe him and a Grot unit. Shit, what do I even get rid of? Yeah, I think I can get rid of one of the boys and get rid of a unit of Grots, and I'm below again. Beautiful. Save. Yeah, and just, I would really encourage everybody, as Tau players, not to, let the Space Marines and Necron players core and carry on and, how do I put this delicately? Be idiots about it. Let's follow the trend of the greater good and be a little bit more dignified, a little bit more civilized, and really just sort of exercise the big, beautiful, wet, rigid brain that comes with playing Tau. But, to be honest, obviously every faction could take that on, because the more everybody does that, the better experience we have. But obviously don't let that detract from you. Like, I put out an entire video kind of musing over what it would mean for us. But I think that there's a difference between musing over something and just kind of shitting on something out of hand before we've really properly thought about the implications of it, the applications of it, and what it'll mean for potential list building or whatever else. One thing I will damn say is that having seen some of the rules that other HQs are getting, I'm kind of going to double down on saying that our commanders are going to be fucking ridiculous. And, a couple of people pointed out that they'll probably have to be leaders within a unit and they won't be able to guide on a unit crisis suits or whatever else. And that's fine. That, invalidates the argument I was talking about. But I was more going through that as this is how tournament players think about building lists and doing whatever. So I was more wanting to highlight that for everybody over, this is how the rules are going to be. But importantly, even if they're leading a unit, they will have other things that will make that unit so good. Like the Thousand Suns is just getting a straight up, if he's leading the unit, it like re-roll ones to wound, or, if they're within range of an objective marker, re-roll wounds. Or maybe that's just on the rubric starter sheet. But it's a +1 to wound. He just straight up gives a unit that he is leading +1 to wound. Which is incredible. You think about that in the context of a new edition with tougher units or whatever else. What does it matter if you go back to wounding on 4s anyway? Which is not a bad wound roll. Like, it's not a great one, but it's not terrible. It's a damn sight better than wounding on 5s. And on top of that, if you put him in a unit that can re-roll wounds, then what do you care? You're succeeding on 75% of them. I really do think our commanders are going to be quite good. And there is a part of me, with what was shown with the Thousand Suns and a couple of the other armies, I really do think the reveals were a little bit of a PR power move on GW's behalf. But anyway, I'm going to go back to enjoying my beautiful orcs and just see what I can unlock and what they look like and everything else. If you're interested in catching a live stream of these, I'll be doing those on Twitch. There'll be a link in the description for my link in bio thing. You click that link and it comes up with all of my other social things. On my Instagram, we're putting up pictures of little Mushu as he grows up with us and everything else. So, if you're looking to engage with us, then, that's the best place to do it. Don't forget about the memberships, as well as our Patreon. There are a ton of ways for you guys to be able to get involved with the studio and join the Pantheon. And actually, speaking of the Pantheon, big announcement coming up very, very soon for anyone in Australia or any of our international people. So, we'll see you very, very soon. I hope you've enjoyed this first Fireside. Hopefully the next one is a little bit longer, but I'll see you all in the next one.